This is covering 1,200 years of occupation on South Bay on Lake Nipigon. Same area. And they're all the different cultures, the black duck, Selkirk, and Laurel, and something else. Anyways, I have to bone up on these things. But, oh yeah, I had that book. I wonder where I better give it to somebody to read. Fiddly-dee. Had a book in there.
What about
I'd like
these
to get it
guys?
over there. Yeah. This here, okay. This whole set, okay, comes from that 1500 BC, which is your 3,500 years ago. Now that is from Orient Bay, the McCollum collection.
Oh, so this is part of the Viking.
No, this isn't Viking.
This is a separate.
Way before the Vikings.
Okay.
This is a couple thousand years before the Vikings.
Okay.
All right. It's the copper culture. Copper culture.
Oh, so this is one of the digs on Lake Nipigon.
Yeah, it wasn't really a dig. What he was doing was he was making a road from his garage down to the beach or something like that, and he unearthed this stuff.
Wow.
So there was 46 pieces.
Holy smokes, that's quite a find.
Yeah, it was, and it's unique in North America in that it had copper and lithics all in the same gravesite.
Wow.
Now,
Are these the original? Are these the actual artifacts?
Yeah, these are the copper copies again. Ottawa's got the real one.
Ottawa has
Yeah,
them.
I
Okay.
just wrote to Ottawa to find out about them, and in the return mail I got a copy.
Oh,
So
trying to quiet you down.
yeah, and then of course we had all those years with what we were messing around with. So I think I wrote the Royal Ontario Museum, said, why don't you give us a copy of them or something like that. So
yeah,
so then they made copies for us, and they made copies for Beardmore and stuff.
nice.
But these, now the guys from Minnesota, they've working with the native copper again, trying to figure out how these were done, and they figure they were put into a mold, like a dugout mold, and then pounded in there.
Wow.
Because they're so
Yeah.
uniform
Wow.
from one place to another. I mean, they show up a lot. So, and then he said if the sides are straight, they haven't been used, but if they're curved, then they would have been already put onto a shaft.
Okay.
There would have been a shaft, but the shaft didn't survive the 3,500 years.
Of course not.
But so they
Organics.
may have all been put in there in usable form.
Yeah.
But all we're getting is the ends.
Right.
Yeah, but this was, see, we're up here, and when something works, you keep it. You don't just throw it out in those times. So, but they were using it as decorations as well as the reality things. And to me, that center one is a crochet hook and spacer.
Oh.
But these grim archaeologists think, they bled somebody. Oh yeah, great.
Oh, they thought that was for bleeding purposes. Oh.
They always like to have blood and gore, but it makes more sense because somebody had seen what the natives in northern Quebec were doing, taking a spoon and sort of bastardizing it by bashing it down, and then cutting that hook onto the end so that they could crochet for their snowshoes, and then use the center for the spacer to get that space them out right.
How about
Which
this?
makes sense. Now this one
How
here,
about this collection?
this collection here is
Not crazy, all from one spot.
Yeah, that's all that's Ray Dupuis up there from Albert Island. And they saw kids skipping rocks, and they thought, aha, let's go see what they're doing, and they were skipping these. So they gathered up 2 pails full.
Unreal.
So I don't know how much is out in Lake Nipigon, but they figure it's And now as near as we can figure, it's somewhere here in the late Archaic.
That's
It
the
hasn't
era.
it hasn't got the notches in, and I don't see where notches would actually fit in those designs. He figures it was a workshop, like the archaeologist figures it was likely a workshop.
Oh, it's where they were making them
Because
all.
they had so many of them, and then they had all the pieces. Now, they picked up all the pieces, which is the flakes and stuff,
Right.
and those are the ones that are the knives and the drills and whatever. They just don't look like what
Actual
people
arrowheads.
are acquainted with that.
Right.
And then this is in the same area, Lake South Bay, again. So you go, it follows right up through all the different stages here of our, there's your Black Duck, Selkirk, Laurel, and for the pottery. There's no pottery down here.
Right.
Or if there was, it didn't survive. They had a different lifestyle. So we'll go over and finish up on our real copper.
Yep.
So this is what you're seeing as a native copper. And then this is the copper bell. And then you have the copper pikes, and there's some more copper. Now they're weighted. That's the one thing that's different about those. They're in everything but weight. So what you see is what they had, but they didn't weight the artifact, all right?
Oh, yeah.
So these have the actual weight of the copper because they are the real McCoys. Now this one, the big long one, was found up on in the basement about the corner of 7th and Bell, up in that area. And Buzz always likes to put things in the heights of whatever, so it's around 750
Wow.
to 800 foot level is where you're going to get the copper culture coming in.
Okay.
And then he has the shoreline coming up at that
Oh,
level for
okay.
that time. You see, he works on the shoreline,
You're
and then
right.
he colors the topographical maps back, and then he can check out.
So where the lake level was here
Where-
in town at that
Yeah,
particular
and
era.
then, and that's why when they put the road through out there in the hill, they found so much copper that
Yeah.
disappeared.
And this is what copper looks like when it's
Yeah, but
there
they find
and on-
it, yeah,
in
the
the-
copper,
in the- on
it's a
the
copper,
ground.
it's a copper nugget, that's the raw copper.
Okay.
So they could find it in chunks, they could find it in huge pieces or
Mhm.
whatever, and that's what's on like Isle Royal, and then across in Houghton and
Yeah.
Marquette, that area in
Right.
Michigan, on Noggin. So they have a lot of copper over there.
We have the
And
odd
we had
piece
the
on
copper
shore
up
around
here.
here.
Yeah, so we had some here. Now these copper pieces, nobody knew what they were back in when we opened 1973. They were just called unknown. And now we have, Michigan has discovered what they were like because they had a painting with a lady, one of the native ladies, holding this thing that looked like that on the end of it. It was a stick and it had that on the end of it. So the guy got thinking, he was a retired dentist, but he got thinking, and when you use that for your flaking, they call it a copper flaking baton because
Oh.
that would be put against the rock and then you hit, and the
Okay.
copper grabs and pulls the flake off.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
So those are flaking batons. But
Wow.
boy, they really, he got credit along with the archaeologists that figured it out for it, like that actually, okay, if that's what it is, we'll make one and see whether it works.
Yeah.
And so when it works out, yeah, because that is, it's a messed up end. So the end is sort of screwy because it pulls on the bottom. So those were very, very unknown. And I mean, I wrote all over the place for stuff, and we had Bill Ross, from the archaeologist from Thunder Bay, and he
Trying to figure out what it was,
and,
yeah.
And yeah, so.
So they figure it was
And
used for...
people were really good in those days of replying to letters. I mean, it took weeks,
Yeah,
sometimes months,
back and forth,
whatever.
yeah.
But they certainly got interested.
Yeah.
And then these are the illegal fish spears.
What about behind you here, Betty?
Fish net then goes with.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's been used for 50 years or more by Mrs. Cormier's mum.
Hmm.
I think it was the Deschamps, Mrs. Deschamps.
Twine.
Yeah. Now these are the beadwork. This is the beadwork, say about 1890, 1900. Very, very fine beadwork. This one here is from 1975, so you're seeing a bigger beadwork. Now this is the floral pattern. And the Great Lakes are florals. Once you start getting into the geometric, that's your Northern Cree.
Oh,
These were leather gauntlets with silk embroidery on it. So I saved those up as much as I could. They didn't. They said it was too far gone to go down to Ottawa to clean up. They cleaned up the moccasins. 258 hours
wow.
they spent on those moccasins.
That's after the fire. That's how long it took to clean these.
So it was interesting to find out now the other place that is floral is Florida area.
Well, I was going to ask, is this unique to this?
Yeah, this is to the Great Lakes. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Is the floral, and then once you start getting geometric, you're Northern
That's further
Cree.
north. Okay.
Yeah, and then now that Chickenaugan, that's geometric, but that was from made in Minnesota. So you're getting more of the central
Yeah.
bit.
Very nice.
So yeah, sometimes you think, oh, it's just a pretty picture, but it starts being connected for a reason. And these are the leggings that they talk about. They burnt, but we have a bit of them left. But they had all beautiful flower design going right up to the knee. And we had them all nice stuffed with the tissue paper, special tissue paper, and of course it got wet, so it saved the back.
Oh, okay.
all the beadwork burned up.
Yeah.
Yeah, big deal. Okay, now you have. This is Don Gapin, and he made the mother minnow lure. And this is his family owned the chalet on the lodge. And this is the actual buffet from there.
Oh, wow.
So when you do gaping, you've got gaping and gaping and gaping and yeah, eventually he will get there. And the chalet was the place to go. It was the railway lodge, and
Part of this CP,
the
CP
king
rail
and
system
the
of
queen
hotels.
mother.
So CP hotels.
was there. So that's Queen Elizabeth's mother and father. And they had lunch there. That's the blueberry picker.
Scoop them up.
And then, see, it's even got itself a little ramp there to
So you're not
stuff,
dumping back out
so
when
it
you
doesn't
take
come
another
back out,
scoop.
yeah.
That's pretty smart.
I just, so, yeah, that was, but it says, you always used to say illegal as hell, so I don't know if at that time it was or not. But after, when the blueberries were so good, you could just, like this, yeah, just fill them like this. Then my mother had to spend all that time taking all the leaves out. She said never again. So after that,
Clean
it was
pick.
like, okay, pick them clean. Yeah, now that's your mud flats that we're talking about down here, this area here. And we had an original of it, and it burnt pretty good. It's still visible, but Mrs. Dampier gave us that after the fire.
Yeah. There's a
repeat
lot of buildings down there on the
yeah, so we
at the Nipigon waterfront.
we got the names of all the houses that were on there, and then there was houses across here and here, and there's the little mill.
Yeah.
And the plywood and the different mills out there, the sawmills. I think there was 3 sawmills out there, along with that. So that's our,
Nice to have that photo.
yeah, and then this was sort of an amalgamation of different photos of, different times, just to get everything in. So it's sort of over the years.
Yeah.
A little bit of the mill down there, and this mostly got, I think, filled in with when they dredged that back part.